discuss about what is Six Sigma, why Six Sigma, why organizations adopt Six Sigma. So, with the story of Hare and Tortoise, we try to understand why organizations try to implement or deploy Six Sigma, and what are the advantages, what is the thrust. That whenever we take up any project, it has to be an business with a business linkage or business thinking. So, I must, when I am a project leader, I am completing any project. I must understand that how it is linked with my business objective and how it is going to help my organization. Then we looked at various uh, approaches to identify the projects like vision, mission, objectives, and etc. Then also looked at another approach called business process management. The entire thrust of an Six Sigma is to look at an entire process or end-to-end process, not in a pockets like that. So you have to look at process in an entire end-to-end way. So then we also looked at the various different approaches we use for an improvement, like plan, do, check, act, or 4D methodology, 8D methodology, and then we also talked about the Six Sigma steps, like define, measure, analyze, improve, and control. And then moving forward, we also talked about discuss about what are the advantages in using Six Sigma over the other methodologies, as it is more structured and more statistical based and data driven process. So it is always advantageous to have a structured approach. So then we talked about what is the define phase is. So we also talked about the equation, which is y is equal to x1, x2, x3. And please try to recall the slide we have seen with a funnel with an potential reasons and then a critical reasons. So in a y, when we are talking about y is equal to x1, x2, x3 up to xn, so the define phase and major phase focus was on the y. And from once we freeze that y, then we move to what are the x's or what are the reasons which have a relationship with y, and look at the several tools like 7 quality tools, then fault tree analysis, YY analysis, or box plot, or again in a lean, we have seen how to do a value stream mapping, because we need to understand which process step is creating a bottleneck in our process. So it is an extension of an normal process flow diagram with addition to our data to it or numbers to it. So what is my cycle time, what is my inventory at each station, etc., etc., generally followed in automotive industry or an assembly line industry, but still we can use that in a chemical industry also. Next to that, we also try to identify various tools or various types of waste. So there we talked about 8 types of waste, which is the eighth one was an human intellectual, but there are 7 other types. Hello, seven weights we talk about. So defects, motion, then transportation, weighting, etc., etc. And then we also looked at the tools which are which said 5S. Uh, oh, sorry, I missed out FMEA. So failure mode effect analysis is one of the tool we saw in an quality tools. Well, these are the lean tools. So in a failure mode effect analysis, what we did, we identified all the reasons and then rated them for severity, occurrence, and detectability. That is what is a multiplication of that on one. If we rate them all on 1 to 10 scale, the multiplication of all those three is called as an risk priority number. So wherever, for which reason the risk priority number is high, we have to do something or mitigation action has to be initiated for that to bring down that risk priority number. It is similarly based on a risk priority number calculated for an heart patients, etc. So which is what may go wrong to have a risk. Then we also talked about the 5S methodology. So there are 5S. and there is a name for all those essays, that is sort, standardize, place for everything and everything at its place. And then the ultimate objective of using all these tools is to get an root cause analysis or understand the root cause and seek an improvement. Now we are proceeding to an improve phase where we are trying to, once we understand what is the reason, we are trying to implement the solution. So implementing a practical solution, that is what is an improve phase. Generally, there is only one statistical tool which is used in improve phase is design of experiment for an process industry. So is the question is optimize the critical excess. Means I understand there is a temperature is also playing a significant role. Pressure is also playing a significant role, and uh, my reactor level is also playing a significant role. Generally, it doesn't happen like that, but I'm giving you an example. So I need to understand where I have to keep all those three. Are they interacting with each other? So it may happen that they have a relation, pressure, like temperature and pressure as a relationship. They are interacting with each other. So we need to understand whether they are interacting with each other, and based on that interaction, we trying to put them in optimized setting so that we get a maximum of y. That is what is called as an design of experiment tool. But we are not going to consider you or not complicate your y belt, yellow belt story, so that because it is a high end tool, generally hardly in 2% of the projects this tool is being used. So the next step is establishing operating tolerance. So basically, what should be my operating tolerances for X? And if suppose there is, because we need to establish that if the temperature variation is significant, if the temperature is causing a problem, and there is a high variation in temperature, naturally my productivity will go down, or my metric ton or Y will affect. So I need to establish in what range I need to control those excess, so that I establish a operating tolerance for the solution or for the excess. How tight does the control have to be? That I have to establish. And then last of the improve phase is an hypothesis testing. Uh, has my process really improved? So when I start, this is one of the advantage of an Six Sigma. It clearly defines in terms of the numbers whether your project is complete or is the process improved or not. So how it is done? It is done using an hypothesis testing. I will give you an example. Generally, we go with an averages, but the when we talk about the statistical improvement, it doesn't talk about the averages, only averages. It also looks at the variability in the process. So what are the deliverables of the improve phase? Perform design of experiment if required. Then define operating tolerance of the potential system, operating tolerance for the excess. Again, the critical thinking is I will control my excess so that my y will automatically come. Validate potential improvement by pilot studies, and correct or revalidate the potential solution if required. So I need to validate whether my process has really improved or not. So if you look at this is an example. Now there are two graphs on the screen. So my earlier process was at 30 or 20, and I want to improve my production. So in uppercase, I improved it to 30. And in lowercase also, it was 20, but I improved it to 30. Now, there is a difference between two. Generally, when we look at the improvement, or our bosses also look at the improvement, they just look at the averages. But when it is 30 in uppercase, there is a lot of variation. So,
Sir,
the
slide is
statistic.
not changing.
Hello?
Sir, sir, slide is not visible.
Arre baapre. Ek minute.
Sir, can you put it in slideshow mode?
Yeah, it is in slideshow mode. Now?
No.
Earlier
No,
slides
sir.
were also not visible?
No, sir.
Arey.
So it's stuck on the first slide. Now
It is stuck on the first slide only.
so now it's on the fourth slide. So if you're not on the slideshow mode, then it's visible.
Okay. So
Yes, sir.
chalo, let us go with that. Okay. So is everybody able to see fourth slide? No.
Yes, fourth slide, but it is not in slideshow mode. It is in edit
It is
mode.
not in slideshow mode, but once I put in slideshow mode,
It won't change, sir. Normal mode is fine, sir.
many of them are not able to see. That is why I am putting it in. Now
So
it
you
is
can
visible.
increase the size. You can from 72%. You can just increase
Yeah,
it.
I will increase the size. Don't worry.
Yes, sir.
But now it is visible.
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir,
Yes,
yes,
sir. It is visible. Since the students are using their cell phones, na sir, the size is very small.
Okay. Now I
Slightly
increase the
better.
size. But actually, I should be able to see the screen. That is the problem.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Okay. So anyway, just I will slightly reduce. Okay, is this okay? Hello.
Yes. Yes, sir.
Yes. Okay. Okay. So when we are saying any improvement, we must validate that my process is statistically improved. Now, the slide in front of you, uppercase or a lowercase, in both the cases, the process average has increased. But probably in the first case, you cannot predict since the average is 30, but there is a lot of variation. So you may not be able to predict that every time it will be 30 or around 30 something. So it is very important to improve the process statistically. That means the probability of having the outcome of the process 30 is more important. The reliability of the process is also more important. That is at a relationship with the statistical significance. So we conduct a test for that, which is called as an hypothesis testing. It is a simple test using two sample t-test. So whenever we conduct this test, there is a p-value which indicates if the p-value is less than 0.05, it indicates that the both processes are different. So in this case, this is an example of break per turn. So earlier my average was 0.91, and now it has reduced to 0.53 with standard deviation 0.30 earlier and now 1.12. So you can also visually look at it as a box plot. But even if you look at the box plot, there is still a overlapping. So the proper idea is to conduct an hypothesis testing. So if you conduct the hypothesis testing, the p-value will tell you whether the test is significant or not significant. If p-value is less than 0.05, you are confident enough and say the process is statistically changed. That is what is the meaning of this. So this is being conducted. This is rather conducted in an improve phase to verify that I have really improved the process. The next step is about the control. Once I know that I have improved the process, it is very important that I have to sustain those gains. So control step. So all control is as my process capability improved. Definitely, once your process is statistically changed, your capability has also improved. And the most important question is how can I sustain this improvement? See, my son is writing a good handwriting when I am present. Is not a motive of this. My objective is my son should write a handwriting when I am not present, and means the product should come or the process should improve by a system or a process. That is how it should be. So what I need to do is called as a control plan. We'll have a look at that, how the control plan is properly then, and then you are handing over this improvement to a process owner. So the next is what is the benefit? Validate it by finance or a stakeholder. Very important step of in Six Sigma that we need to validate our gains through finance. So whenever we take up a project, from the beginning itself, we always involve the finance people in this. So how we have identified our baseline? Is that baseline true? Is it reflects in books of accounts, etc., etc.? So we also train the finance people to because we need an fair validation of our project that yes, the process has improved and this much of gain has been achieved. So what are the deliverables of the control phase? Define and validate monitoring control plan, then develop standards and procedures. I kept on saying it should change your procedure or system. So it may happen that you have to develop new standards and new procedures and just incorporate those procedures and standards in your daily routine work. Implement statistical process control charts. We'll look at that. How the statistical process control charts are used. Basically, those charts are to be used for X, not for Y. We will monitor Y, of course, by using a chart, but we need to control the excess. So determine improved process capability, then develop a transfer plan, hand off to a process owner. So if you have been assigned, you go to any organization and you are undergoing some Six Sigma training and you have been assigned a project. So ultimate objective that you will improve the process with your analytical skills and then hand it over process to a process owner. That is most important. In most of the Indian organization, this is missing because we don't have that culture. And once you work on that, every time the plant head or a section head will keep on asking you only. So whenever in your future life, whenever you take up a project, please focus on this, how or to whom I am going to hand over this project. And once you hand over that project, you are free again to take up a next project. That is what is an idea of an Six Sigma deployment. Assess, this is also a very important phase. Assess failure modes of a potential solution. So you have come out with a control plan or you have implemented a solution. Just brainstorm how this control plan or how this solution can fail, so that you have a mitigation plan for those potential as you anticipate this can go wrong to fail my potential solution. So you can have a mitigation plan in place for that. Validate benefit by customer or finance and present the storyboard and celebrate. So control and process management to hold the gains. That is what is most important. Now, 4 elements of control. Document change in procedure. Use data to monitor performance. That is use of control charts to monitor your excess. Be proactive in planning for potential problems. So there is always proactive and reactive mode. So the reactive mode is after the failure. You are doing some analysis after the failure. But what is a proactive mode? You are emphasizing or you are visualizing that this can go wrong and proactively have a mitigation plan ready for that situation. That is what is a proactive approach. Similarly, there are 2 actions which are being generally planned: is a corrective action or a preventive action. So what is a corrective action? I have a headache. So what I do? I take a tablet. This is what is a corrective action. So I need to do something so that I do not have a headache. That is what is a preventive action. So the whole process or whole emphasis of Six Sigma is having a preventive action. So assigning the 4th is assigning specific responsibilities for performing the work. So we'll in a control plan we will write down who will do that, what is the method of controlling, and a person designated who will do that. So whenever generally any project starts, when the project starts in a define and measure phase, the involvement of project leader is more. So the project leader is involved in rather in a defined phase also. The process owner has to be involved, but not the entire team of an operation. But once you move from a major phase to analyze phase, the involvement of operating team is most important. So they must get involved in identifying the potential reasons and then developing a solution for those potential reasons. And as the project gets completed, probably the project leaders involvement goes down and operating teams involvement goes up, so that there is a smooth takeover by a process team or any process owner. That is what is an objective of an Six Sigma project, and you have to keep always this in mind. So I talked about the control charts. So there are charts to monitor whether my process is in control or not. So there are various types of charts being used. So it depends on the type of a data. So we earlier saw there are two types of data. One is attribute data or discrete data. Attribute discrete is countable data like errors, absenteeism, while continuous data is a measurable data like time, temperature, etc. So what is the type of a data? Is it variable data or attribute data? If suppose it is a variable data, then what is the frequency? Is it once in a day or 4 times in a day? So if it is once in a day, then we probably use IMR chart. So that is individual or moving range chart. But if the frequency is more, probably we will be using the other chart, which is IMR or X bar chart. So what does the X bar chart says? X bar chart says means I will make an average of those 4 data points in a day and plot it as an one point. That is what is an X bar chart means. Now, if I have an attribute data on other side, is the constant, is the sample size constant? So it depends on that. If the sample size is constant, then probably I will use these two types of chart called C chart and NP chart, which is for defects and percentage defectives. And if my sample size is not constant, then I use U or P charts. So how does this chart look like? So, so calculating the boundaries, like I say, upper control limit and lower control limit. Now, don't confuse. There are two: specification limit and control limit. So, when I say specification limit, what does it mean? The specification limit is set by a customer. So you don't have a choice. So when a specific, that is a customer's requirement, and based on that customer's requirement or specification limit, you calculate the capability of the process. So how good I am with respect to what is asked by my customer. But when you are saying upper control limit or lower control limit, that comes from the process. Means आपके पास जो भी पिछला डाटा है, आपने सपोज प्रोसेस इंप्रूव किया, जैसे आपने 30, you improved the process to average of 30 with 30 data points in it. So your control limits will be calculated based on actual data present in your process. And there is a mathematical calculation which goes with this. And generally it is X plus 3 sigma or minus 3 sigma. So where we call it as a normal process. But there is a mathematical calculations also for each of those charts I have shown on an earlier slide. So means once we plot, calculate what is our upper limit and what is our lower control limit, we need to examine is my process is in control or not. So how do I examine whether my process is in control or not? So there are 7 rules to examine. If any of the one rule fails, we say the process is in not control. So to identify that, let us divide our upper specification limit to a lower specification limit in 3 bands, which are called as an A, B, and C. So so C is closer to your central line, that is plus minus 1 sigma. Then your B is upper and lower plus minus 2 standard deviations, and A is 2 to 3 standard deviations. So have you understood how the zones are calculated? So once you understand that, have you understood how the zones are calculated? Hello? Hello? Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, you understood how the zones are calculated? Means,
Yes, sir.
yes, okay. So once you know what are the zones, there are rules in it. So what are the rules? Rule 1 point beyond zone A. So if, as shown in a slide, if 1 point is beyond my zone A, I need to go and look at the process and understand. Now there is a concept which is called as an assignable cause or a common cause variation. So when what is a common cause variation or assignable cause variation? So normally, when you any individual candidate who is appearing for an exam, his score is around 60. So I say it varies from 58 to 65, like that. Now, on one of the occasions, his score turned out to be 51. Now, why his score was 51? Because before the exams, 4 days, he was not well. Now, what is this? This is an assignable cause. So, for that 51, you know what is the cause behind it. It means there is an effect and cause relationship, and which you know. So, that is what is called as an assignable cause. And if it is varying between 58 to 65, it is a natural variation of the process, and you may say it keeps on behaving like this. When we talk about the averages, when suppose we say the average time taken for traveling from Delhi to Agra is 2 hours. So when we say average, it is not exactly 2 hours every time. So sometimes it is 2.2 hours 10 minutes, sometimes it is 1 hour 55 minutes, etc. So there is a natural variation in the process. Now with the using a control charge, what we are trying to find out is that natural variation within limit. Some on some occasion, when you are traveling from Delhi to Agra, the normal time is 2 hours, you take 3 hours. So why? Because my car got punctured. Now, if you take 3 hours, then this becomes an assignable cause. So, if something goes beyond a zone, we need to understand whether this is assignable cause or a common cause variation. So, if it is an assignable cause, then again, you can have an action plan set around it. And if it is common cause, you need to investigate, deep dive into the process, why this variation is occurring. So, this is what is rule 1. For any means, this is one rule number 1 to show that your process is not in control. So what does the rule 2 says? All 9 data points are on one side. Again, this is also the abnormality in the process. Consistently, my 9 data points are on the higher side. Now, how does this 9 number came? Why not 8 or why not 10? This 9 number is based on the probability calculation. So, with the probability calculation, probably my 9 number comes, and I say there is a probability of the defect which is going to occur by calculating a probability of the defect. That is why the number is 9. So, there is a scientific method why 9 behind this. But just for your sake, you understand what is the rule. Now, if my 9 points are on one side, I will say the process is not in control. So, rule number 3, my 6 points steadily increasing or decreasing. So, there has to be, when we say random variation, there has to be a zigzag variation. But it is continuously 6 points are decreasing or 6 points are increasing is also the process is not in control, and you need to investigate this abnormality. Now, 4th point is alternate, zigzag or saw. Every point is alternate, up and down, up and down, up and down, up and down again. So it is for 14 points. So you need to investigate. The process is not in control. So rule number 5 is 2 out of 3 in zone A and beyond. Means मेरे consecutive 3 points में 2 last layer में है. Is also a process is not in control. So 6 is 4 out of 5 in a row in a B and beyond. So this is all based on the probability. It also says if my 15 points are in zone C, so my all points are very narrowly located in zone C. So it may have, you have a measurement system problem where you are not able, your measurement system is not able to capture the variation in the process, or you need to calculate your upper specification limit and lower specification limit again. Okay. So rule 8 points in a row on both sides of beyond C zone is also. So these are the rules to look at the process. How is my process is in control? If my process is showing any of the abnormality like these 8 rules, then I need to go and look at my process whether there are assignable causes or a normal cause variation. If there is a normal cause variation, I need to investigate that. You may go and stop the process also, but you need to investigate the process. That is most important with the concept of assignable. Now, once you understand that your process is in control, you have to develop an action plan. So what are my vital X? What actions I have taken? What is being controlled? Like in this case, this is a part of an case study what we are going to consider. So what is being controlled? So I am talking about the stability in kg metric ton. So what I am going to actually control is I am going to stability Eg pump RPF going to control. So what is my control type? That is my standard operating condition. And control method, I'll be using a controller output to do this. Who is responsible for that? My shift engineer, continuous polymerization shift engineer will be responsible for that. So everything has to be perfectly written down as a control plan, and then hand over the control plan to the process owner. That is how it has to be done. And if you look at the bottom, there is a control chart also shown. So what was my variation before? So you can see few spikes, the red out of control points, but as you improve your process, it is in a narrow band. So we need to confirm that whether my before process and earlier now improved process is within limit or not. Basically, when I improve the process, it should be in control, because when I take up a project, it may happen that I am not able to establish that, but when I improve the process, it has to be in a control. That is what is an objective of an control phase. So just an overview, what tools we have seen. We have looked at the quantitative tools and qualitative tools. So what does a quantitative tool means? The quantitative tools mean numbers. So with the number, it will tell you that yes, this is what is shortlisted, or this is what is your main focus area, etc. But what is the qualitative tools? Like ideas, generation of ideas, brainstorming, cause and effect, are a qualitative tools to understand what is the problem, like that. So Six Sigma is not a cure for everything. So kuch bhi ho gaya, I am doing a business, I will do Six Sigma. It is not like that. So earlier also I said there are specific numbers what say when an organization is called as a Six Sigma organization. Basically, when 5 to 10% of your profits are coming by improvement projects or Six Sigma projects, that is how it should be, because there is no substitute for a technical knowledge. So there is a terminology which is called as a must be. So to operate the process, you have to have a must be knowledge. So that must be knowledge is a 95%, but having an edge over the others, or doing it faster, doing it statistically significant, is a Six Sigma usage. And this is not cure for everything, but it is definitely an helping hand. or data driven solution approach or cultural transformation. That is very important. So Six Sigma, when you join an organization, people generally have a mindset that ye aur kya karne ka, what else I have to do. The Six Sigma is not something else you have to do, but you have to do this on a regular basis. That is what you should be doing. From whenever you join any organization, try to look the problems in a Six Sigma manner and try to solve them in a Six Sigma approach. You will have as you move ahead and as you matured, you will have a different perspective about the process improvement, and that is what is most important, and that will take you ahead definitely. So who are the people they are involved in Six Sigma generally? The sponsor who now sponsor, champion, and process owner, they may not be a knowledgeable person in Six Sigma, but they should have a faith on a Six Sigma. Suppose any organization as an plant, so the plant head or a site head, what we call, Reliance has got a 3, 4, 5 sites, so we call site head as an sponsor. So he has a blessings and he is going to help deployment of Six Sigma. So what he will do, he will probably ask any consultant or some person, the expert person or a master black belt, to give an overview to their champions and process owner what Six Sigma is. And based on that, the champion and process owner will identify the improvement areas. And those once they, actually, the methodology says that the charter has to be prepared by a champion and a process owner. So they need to clearly identify what is the project, what is the CTQ, what is the scope, what is the baseline, etc., and how much improvement I want. And also give an assurance on giving a cross-functional people for help. So the champion and process owner are only beneficiaries, and they will also monitor how your project is progressing. And at the same time, they are also expected to remove administrative roadblocks in your project. So I think, suppose as a project owner, you identify that if you increase the temperature, if you keep the reactor temperature more than 220, you will get the most productivity or you will get the highest production. Now you are one of the process engineer or a shift engineer. There is nobody who is going to listen to you as an authority. So who is that authority? The champion and the process owner is an authority, and you prove to him that yes, you look at this data, that if I keep my temperature at 225, your production is high. So probably if you use that correlation analysis and convince him that yes, temperature has got a significant role with the production, the champion and process owner will help you that all the entire crew will keep the temperature more than 220, etc. That is what is their role. They will be administratively helping you. Somebody is not giving you data to calculate a baseline. So champion and process owner will help you to give that data. That is what is their role. They are now sponsor, champion, and process owner. They are not Six Sigma experts. May not be. But they understand how I am getting benefited and how I am supposed to help the project leader. Now you can call it as a green belt, black belt, yellow belt, or a project leader, which is the common term. So who will actually lead, collect the data, see measurements, do the measurement system analysis, conduct the brainstorming sessions to identify what are potential excess, analyze the data, is a project leader or a green belt, black belt, who is a project leader of that. Then team members may be cross-functional. They will, what is the role of a team member? They may give you idea of our improvement, or they also help you in data collection, etc., etc. Generally, the team is formed based on the army model. So I think I missed out when I talked about the charter. So what is the army is? A is the approver. Now you may find it that if I keep my temperature more than 220, it is going to help the production. But there has to be somebody who will approve, say, yes, keep the temperature more than 220, or yes, this is a solution, go and implement it, I am with you. So who is the approver, like champion and process owner? Then R is a resource. If you go to organization, there are always some intelligent people. They doesn't speak much, but they have good ideas. So you have to identify those people to speak out and say what can be a solution on this. Or there will be few people at the shop floor who are really observing the things and have the solutions for the problems, but nobody listens to them at the higher level. So you have to understand they are your resources. They will tell you the reasons. They will tell you the exact solutions, etc. So this is resource. Then the member, who is an actually member who will help you in data collection. Suppose you have implemented some action plan, you are going on a leave. So who will take it forward? Or this is not being happening, he will call you that, array, we decided to improve this, implement that our temperature has to be beyond 220, but somebody in this shift has not followed. So you are aware about it, and he will inform you that this is not being deployed, and you can take it up with the champion or process owner like that. And then there is I stands for an interested party. So many times in an organization, there are people who are only interested to know what you are doing. They will not contribute anything. They will not help you as a resource, but they are only interested to know what you are doing. Like I give an example. We talked about one of the project which is about reducing the packing cost. So when an operation guy tried to reduce the packing cost, there is always a marketing guy will keep on watching that, and he is looking at whether my complaints are improving or not. So you have to take him in a confidence and say that we are doing these changes on our packing. So let us combinedly or as a team evaluate, is there any effect on the damage, or is there any effect on the in the market. If suppose you don't involve him, there is a high potential that the marketing guy will put you down in your project. So you have to identify that as an interested party, influencing party, very of the time influencing party also. So you as a chemical engineer are part of an operations, but your problem is cross functional and you need an help of an power electronics guy. So there is an engineer who is working, very intelligent engineer who is working in power electronic department. So you must understand that who will be influenced or who will influence him to speak out or can be a part of our team. That is what is another I. So I is for interested party, as interested party and influencing party. So when you are again forming a team, you have to keep these all things in mind like an army. But again, it is not hard and fast that Ashwin cannot bat. Nowadays, if you look at our cricket, our spinning bowlers are batting more than our batsmen. So it is not hard and fast that he will do only bowling or he will do only batting. But you have to have a broad thinking and about his role when you are taking him in a team. So with that, we complete the concepts. So let us look at a case study, how it is actually deployed in the industry. So this case study is about the LAB plant. So the bromine index is one of the important parameter of an LAB. So what happened one time? This is also very important that this project was executed only in 7 days. So what happened? We had an LAB shutdown, and after starting up of LAB, the bromine index is not in our specifications. So the bromine index has to be less than 10. And this parameter of LLB when we started up was not coming beyond less than 10, and for 3 days we were producing LAB, and just putting in the tanks as an off spec. So that is what I am not an operation guy or any technical expert from an LAB, but still that time I was called for this project. So even I don't know the process, with the approach of a tool and a data driven strategy, we can look for an excess. That is what I want to emphasize in this. So when just look at the charter, this is what is bromine index, etc. So how it is going to help us? As I said, the bromine index has to be less than 10, and we were not getting bromine index less than 10, and we were producing LAB which is not sellable in the market. And as the LAB is not sellable in the market, we were losing 48 lakhs per day. That is what is the background of this project. So this is what is a charter. So it is explaining what is the business case for project. I already explained that when we collected data for 3-4 days, 7 June to 9 June 2011, our average bromine index was 48.5. And the target, because the specification says it has to be less than 10. And our current sigma level or the capability of the process was minus 1.25. Now, if we achieve that, our market will be sellable in the market. That is why the profit, it was a very high profitability project, because we have already produced 990 metric tons of off-spec production. So the scoping was done, leader was identified, and all the phases went just in 1 week. So how the process went? This is what is a walkthrough of the process.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
I just want to make one announcement to the students, because many of them are confused what actually we have to do in a project. So I just want to tell you that sir is explaining a case study, means he is giving you an example. So this exactly same thing you have to do with whatever topic you have selected, whatever the steps Karve sir will be telling you. This kind of a template will be shared to you.
Template you can share with them. Last year I circulated with a template.
Yeah, same or maybe slightly less complex kind of slides will be shared with you. Whatever the data required for your process, you'll have to collect, and whatever sir is explaining now, like that you'll have to implement the tools that you have learned throughout.
So what is important here is charter. So you have to have clearly defined charter of your project, which is mandatory. Okay. So once you have a charter, then a process overview, and then SIPOC. So who are my suppliers? What is input, process, output, and customers? That is what is a high level map. From that high level map, you will go to a PDF, which was shown in an earlier slide. So this is what is an actual process flow. What is the purpose of this? By actually following a PDF, you will identify what are the potential excess at each step for effect on Y. Okay. So like that, this is the SIPOC. Then this is a graphical summary of an baseline. So what was my average? So what was my mean bromine index was 48.5. How much is the standard deviation? There's a lot of variation. The standard deviation is 37.5. Okay. So if the data is not normal, then how do I calculate my capability? Is a different way. So this has been shown in this project. Then so what is my base level sigma? So my base level sigma is minus 1.25. So you have to basically calculate the baseline capability of your process. In short, nutshell. So once you complete that, the measurement system analysis, whether repeatability and reproducibility was right, that also you ensure. Means in this case, if suppose my whole focus is on bromine index, So I need to go and really check how the bromine index is actually being decided in the laboratory. So what titration they are doing, is follow the repetitive test or reproducibility? Means I have two of the scientists, they are testing bromine index. So is their reading for bromine index is matching? Is this calculated or comes out of the test result, etc.? Is an measurement system analysis. So once you have established that measurement system analysis, you identify the potential excess and then take those potential excess for screening. So here in this case, the screening was done using a correlation analysis. So out of 14, these 5 parameters were found significant. Now, what when I say significant, my bromine index is a lower the better function. So if I play with define these 5 parameters, my bromine index is going to change. This is what is proved by an correlation analysis statistical tool. So once I know ki it is going to change with these 5, we did also a best subset analysis. Means out of those 5, which are the best 3. So even if I adjust these 3, I am going to get an improvement to the tune of 70%. That is what is the best subset analysis. Even if you implement all the 5, is not going to make the difference. So all the 5 were implemented, and after implementing all the 5, I am doing an hypothesis. My bromine index came down from 48.5 to 3.20 average. Okay, so that is how you have to do. You have to identify your potential reasons, then potential reasons to then tool to use your vital reasons. You implement the action for those vital reasons, you get an improvement. That is how it has to be done. So hypothesis testing, once you improve the process, then the capability of an improved process. So earlier my Z bench or earlier capability was minus 1.25. Now you can see a graph there in the green. My sigma level improved to 4.55, which is very tremendous. Generally, we don't get a sigma level more than 4. If your sigma level of the process more than 4, then that means your process is very good. So what is my control plan? How I'm going to implement that? Who is responsible for that? And is it going to be in control? That is how I am going to use a concept of an control chart. Actually, in this presentation, we are only showing the control chart for Y, but it is very important to plot a control chart for all the 5 axes. Now, if we are able to control all those 5 axes, my Y will automatically come, but it is not shown here. But actually, you have to have the control plan for axes. Okay, this is what is how it has improved. We identified the funnel structure. We identified 15 axes, then 5, and out of that, even 3 or 2 has given us the significant improvement. That is what is, I mean, this is what how you have to summarize how bromine index was reduced 48.5 to 3.2, sigma level improvement, and how standard deviation has reduced. That is how you can show. So this is one of the project using correlation analysis. The other second case study is also on the similar lines, but for a longer duration. Why I showed you this project? Because this project was implemented only in 7 days. So it is not a long-term thinking process. So you can have an shoot the problem with using the statistical tool. That also can be done. So case study 2 is about is for an polyester filament yarn plant. So what is the need of a project? So there are various customers. So my external customer, what he wants to say. Then my manager production manager, what is his problem, then logistic manager, what is his problem, then operators, what is his problem, was converted into a CTQ, which is called as an breaks per ton. So there has to be voice of customer's voice. So we have captured that customer voice, and out of all those voices, we have converted those voices into CTQ called breaks per ton. So the team was formed. This is how the polyester process looks like. This is terephthalic acid and MAG is mixed together to form an polyester, and then polyester is spun to get a bobbins like this. This is what is called as a bobbin. जैसे अपना seeing का we have a bobbin for seeing using sewing machine, etc. So it is similarly like that. The sewing thread is for few grams. This is for 10-15 kgs. So this polyester yarn after texturizing goes for a weaving, and we get an beautiful cloth or a dress material like this. So this is what is the process, how my project is aligned with a business objective. You need to establish that if I do this, how it is going to improve the profitability of my business. And then what is the process or what is the break? So this winding goes on continuous basis. Any interruption in that winding is called as a break. So if it breaks, then probably the bobbins what we produce are of smaller size, and if they are of smaller size, hello Nikhil, का रे क्या होते विजिबल नहीं है, hello. So if we get a break, then the continuity is interrupted, and that interruption, with that interruption, we need to rethread. That is a wastage. So generally the bobbin is of 18.5 kg, but if it breaks, it may be of 5 kilo, 10 kilo. It is lost to the organization, and probably the problem for a customer. So you need to understand what is a business case. So based on that, the project charter was written, how breaks per ton, and what is the target. I think we have seen this charter. So once you get that data, is my data normal? How does the data look like at baseline? What is my sigma level or a capability that I have calculated? It is 0.13. So is my measurement system right? Now how I am counting breaks? It is breaks divided by production. So when I say tons, so is my weighment system right? Or if I am automatically recording the breaks, is my recording system right? That is what I have to establish. Once that is done, it is a SIPOC at micro level. Then again, there are three main steps: continuous polymerizer, spinning, and winding. So there are sub steps. From sub steps, the parameters were identified, correlation analysis was done. From that, we screen from 55 to 6 parameters. We change all those out of that 3 parameters, because it may have that some of the excess are interrelated to each other. Then you have to decide which 3 or which main parameters you need to change. So based on that, there are 3 parameters which are changed, looking at what is the correlation coefficient and what direction it should go. So plus or minus, etc. So then after implementing all the actions, I need to look at then after completing a continuous polymerization, then the next section, which is spinning section. So similar exercise was done also for a spinning to identify the parameters. So we started with 15 parameters and only one was found significant. Then implemented that. Then in the winding section also, And ultimately, so in the winding, we also tried to narrow down which product for which product the brakes are high and in which kg range. Means my bobbin builds up from 0 kg to 18 kg. So how many brakes are between 0 to 3, 3 to 5, 5 to 8, 8, like that. So we understood there are more number of brakes less than 2 kg. So what can go wrong for less than 2 kg was identified and then implemented. So this is how the solutions were implemented. We identified 75 axes and implemented 8 axes. So this is hypothesis testing of before and after. My p-value is less than 0.05. That means my process has significantly improved. This is what is sigma level before and after. Control chart. My process is in control. Lower side is an control chart. IMR chart, and my process is in control. And my control plan. So who will do what is clearly written down with an responsibility, and what are the benefits, etc. Summarize the benefits, financial validation of the benefits. Now third case study is for an attribute actions. So let us look at the third case study. This is about the waste reduction during CAN traverse system. So now the project was identified. It is linked with a business objective. What is the voice of customer converted into CTQ? There are two CTQs, that CAN traverse waste, kg per day, and number of interactions. So both were taken as in CTQ. So the project charter was clearly written. So what is the baseline? 587 kg per day. And how much are the number of interruptions? 7 per day are the interruptions. So what is the target? So from 587 to we need to go less than 250, and in interruptions we need to go less than 3. The scope was decided, leader, team, and the steps, timelines were decided. So SIPOC team, again, we discuss about the RV model. So approver, resource, member, and interested party. So out of the team, a rough thinking was given: who is approver, who is resource, who is member, and who is interested party. Okay. So team was formed. Then high level process mapping was done. Then there is also a data collection plan was developed. So from where the data will come? Is it measurable data, discrete or continuous data, etc., etc. So I am establishing that my measurement system is right. So waste measured on a Wayman scale, each interruption with an automatic system. So automatic measurement system. So what is my defect definition? So I didn't talk about the defect definition earlier, but the defect definition is now if suppose what is my baseline and what is my target? If you are anything away from the target or a customer need, it is a defect for you. So how many such defects in a day, or how many such defects in your baseline? That is what is called as the defect definition. So defect definition was clearly written down. Based on that, baseline sigma level calculations were done. Baseline sigma level for interruption, number of interruptions, baseline sigma level for kg per day. Then cause and effect was done. So identified potential excess. So after identified potential excess, one tool which is used is called as a control impact analysis. So what is the impact of a particular X, and is it in your control? So whether I can control that X, and how is the impact of that? So if the impact is high and it is in your control, it is most desirable that you will implement all those X's to get an result. So all those 14 X's which are having a high impact and in control were taken up for FMEA study. So what is the basically FMEA study is? Uh, what is the impact if this happens? Then what is the occurrence of that event? And what is the existing process control to rate them on a detectability? So these 7 X's were identified with an high RPN number, putting it in a descending order. So for individual waste entanglement, the action was developed. Then unskilled operator, the study was conducted. Who is unskilled? How much is the variation in that? So let us look at that data. So this is how operator performance was checked using a box plot. So in a box plot, you can understand the Madan and Gajanan has a problem, and let us work on both of them. So identify their training needs, train them clearly, explain them a concept, etc., and improve the performance. So there is a lack of communication between two floors. So top floor, second floor and first floor. So a switch was provided for better communication and coordination. With that, the occurrence and detectability has come down. Basically, what is improved more is detectability, okay, by providing a switch. So light was provided, display on the panel, which will again improve the detectability and proactively identify there is a problem so that the event may not happen. That is how the occurrence is avoided. Okay. Then a sensor provided for positioning. So there used to be a mismatch when putting up a can. So there was sensor provided. So by providing a sensor, now there is no mismatch and your occurrence of the event and detectability has come down. So damage base of the cans was actually corrected or with the proper maintenance. It was done, and actually what is important is check sheet provided for inspection. Means you may have a solution, that is you have repaired the damaged can, but what is the process behind checking the damaged can has to be established here. So the check sheet is provided for an inspection. So again, okay, I can as an one-time activity we can change the damaged cans. But how you are going to monitor that? Is there any process behind that? So how frequently, how will you inspect? And if you find that there is a problem, how we are going to rectify? The process has to be established there. So that is what is being done. So this is another action of replacing damage rolls. So after that, the hypothesis testing was done, and the process was the statistical improvement in the process was established. This is how the control chart looks like. This is how the control plan is. Who will do what is the control method, who is responsible, etc. is clearly written down. That is how 31 X's were identified, only 7 actions were taken, and this is what is the overall summary of the project. So this is how you have to do. It is a structured process. The template is already shared with you. So go start filling up those templates so that you will understand that what is to be done. Okay, and you can also refer to the 15 questions asked.
Yes, Mihir Trivedi has raised a hand. What's
Yes.
your Mihir Trivedi?
So yes, Mir, question?
I think by mistake he clicked somewhere.
Okay. So you can share the template, and again, if somebody has a problem with the documentation or what is to be done, he gets stuck up in the project. We are always there to help him. No issue in that.
We have got a few more minutes, so if you have any doubts, you can ask now. Pratyush, Astha, I don't know everybody's name.
So are the projects assigned to them individually?
Yes, sir, yes.
Okay. So actually, Six Sigma is like a swimming.
Hmm.
So understanding the theory, you can't really do it. So you have to practically do it, like swimming or cycling.
Yes, anyone? Maitri? Pratyush, are you there? Who else had asked me? Akshay? Is Akshay here? Supraja? Okay, sir, I think we can continue.
So 1 minute.
Yeah.
So how do we communicate, sir? Like through mail or
You
like if
can
we
send me a mail on my Gmail address or
okay,
even
sir.
RL address, no issue.
Okay, sir.
Sharachandra.d.karve@gmail or RIL.com.
So could you repeat it, please?
Sharachandra.d.karve.
Apart from that, any other doubt?
Excuse, sir.
Okay.
Sir, now actually those processes we are not practically experienced with, right, sir? Like what if we don't get proper information on the internet relating to that?
Okay, about the process.
Yes, sir. Like we
Okay.
need to identify the reasons and all. We are not very acquainted
Yes,
with the
yes.
process.
Yeah. So, Nikhil, how you are going to do it then? So means
Uh,
they need to understand the actually process, na. So without process, how they can be able to identify the potential reasons?
Sir, we are not expecting much from them. Just
So matlab they should understand the process, how the Six Sigma goes, like that.
just basic understanding of the tools will be evaluated.
Okay, okay,
Uh, and will we have a certain set of data that will be
okay,
providing to them.
okay, okay, okay.
But
So,
basically, if they are able to identify the CTQ, CTP,
yes, 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 yes. So understanding of the process is important. How the CTQ is decided, business alignment, charter to be written down, etc.
hmm.
Okay, is that clear?
Yes, sir.
Hello.
Yes.
Hello. So
Hello.
then we don't have to make the control chart and control plan, right? Or do we have to? Hello.
Hello. Actually, it depends on your project. What is your project that we need to? Are you able to find out some data and then able to do some analysis? Then yes. Agar if it is not, then conceptually.
Sir, I have a doubt like how are we going to like implementing this Six Sigma concepts would be in real life like industrial problems, but we have some small project problems. So how to like apply these things there?
Uh, means small problem means what?
See,
Like projects, any
Can
project
you explain
topics. So
further?
how to apply in those small topics? Like
Uh,
any preparation of biofuel or biogas from agriculture organic waste. So,
okay. So it is not an improvement project. That is what you mean?
no.
no,
Hmm?
that is the improvement project.
Uh, so what is the metric for that improvement? What you are really going to improve?
Okay, so,
You can write a charter around that, no?
okay.
So for that we come up with arbitrary numbers or metrics ourselves.
Yes, that is what is Nikhil is also expecting from you.
Okay,
Try
because
to
on
find
the,
out. Try to find out from the net or some.
so now on the internet, after we are doing literature survey, the only data we get is not numbers, just the process and all that.
Yes.
So the numbers we have to either come up with ourselves or they have to be given to us.
Or theoretically understand what can be the number or what is a number and then play around it.
Okay, that works too.
Check for papers or literature.
Literature.
Whatever they are giving, let's say just the production rate, say 1 ton per day or something like that.
Like that.
And mostly,
So arrive at theoretical numbers, na, Nikhil? Then.
yes, sir. But what we want is what is the problem that they are encountering, or why, if they are getting a certain amount of production, why
Hmm.
that much? How that can be
Yes.
improved?
Ah,
That much we want.
ah. So what could be the probable excess, etc. You can write
Uh,
down your.
if some waste is being generated, how can we reduce that?
So what are the different categories of waste?
Hmm.
Pareto analysis. So which is contributing the highest waste? Which category is contributing the highest waste? Like that tools you can use.
Yes, anyone else? Sir, will we be needing any more sessions?
No, no.
Okay, sir.
Okay.
So this is the last session by Karve sir. So if you have anything to ask rather than putting an email, you can ask right now.
So I wanted to ask if we will get all these slides for our reference.
Yeah, I will give you. Only thing I need to remove the logos, etc. So give me 2-3 days. Hmm?
Okay,
So I
okay,
will
sir.
complete that in Saturday, Sunday, and give it to you next week.
Yes, no problem.
Okay, sir. I think we can
Okay.
wait.
Okay. Thank you.